The bounty hunters. The initial response was almost immediate. First, they were informed that further communications would be in cipher and were only to be unveiled and exposed within the contained and controlled environment away from possible deleterious axiom effects. It had indicated that Albrecht would be regarded as a planet to be quarantined, and they were to find and root out the source of the harm. They would also be given a great number of designs, most tested, some experimental, for use in their hunting down of Vasuda's Marti, who would be designated as Target Actual. For the sake of tracking down and eliminating Target Actual, they were requested to take numerous pictures of the cities and contaminated areas with axiom-sensitive equipment so the experts could survey them. A camera with a timer was recommended, as the recording of the contamination might cause it to spread to the recording device, meaning the device itself would then need to be observed for deleterious effect. While the experts were establishing the patterns and limitations of Target Actual, the Chainbreaker would use its printing forges to manufacture null crash ammunition for their sidearms and disruption needles to help counter the exotic abilities. Furthermore, they would also construct a specialized teleportation platform. This piece of technology was far more experimental and made use of many modifications found in smuggling and black market organizations to hide the comings and goings of goods and peoples. Once Target Actual's more common effects were better understood, specific equipment would be designed and the plans sent to the Chainbreaker for manufacture. If they could not be manufactured on the Chainbreaker, then a galactic-scale teleportation would be attempted as a measure of last resort in order to arm them against the target. Most of this was standard procedure, but they'd have to be even more careful than when they did their Mime Time mission. The big change-up, however, was a piece of advice from Vernon. He had sent an audio recording of his own voice and warning not to play it. It was a readout of Target Actual's name to be used with the intention of testing how easily this auto-retaliation field could be fooled, or if it ignored mechanized speech. If it ignored the mechanized speech, then voice modulation would be extremely valuable and allow more open movement. If it did not ignore mechanized speech, then audio devices on timers could serve as distractions and ways to provoke, and therefore study the field's effects. It was a toss-up as to which result would be more useful. Everyone had gone into business mode. The Crimson Hewers were upgrading their armor to scramble the axiom around them, and with extra tri-type plating in order to resist hostile axiom effects. All right, test ZF-001. J3 says into his communicator as he watches the device he had laid down in an empty lot at the outskirts of the city. He's 3 city blocks away. He has both a powerful axiom-sensitive camera with directional microphone pointed at it and is looking through the scope on his new rifle just in case things get really weird. The electrical attack had given everyone a paranoid streak, and no one was taking risks. The device lifts a little flag as it begins to play its audio before being suddenly destroyed by a bolt of lightning out of a clear sky. Test ZF-001 complete. Confirm discharge. I repeat, confirm discharge. Copy that. Proceed with further testing. Bike returns from the small base they've set up in an abandoned warehouse. The landowner had been happy to let them rent it out for the next month. This entire operation was going to be a long one, and they needed not only their ship, but a proper base of operations on the ground as well. She might get clever and start hitting shuttles after all. He then sets up 2 of them at 2 meters distance to each other, and the timers are 5 seconds apart. He starts communicating again after getting back into position. Test ZF-002. Consecutive strike testing in 3, 2, 1. The first flag goes off as the recording plays and the device is instantly fried. Faster than the first test had done. Then 4.5 seconds later, the second flag only reaches halfway up before lightning strikes. Test complete. The area responds considerably quicker to the audio cues. Initial test had a moment of build-up before electrical strike. This test had immediate response and then responded to the second halfway through the audio cue. J3 reports. What of the area in question? Is it responding the same way the office building did? Bike asks. Negative. There was zero ionization or static buildup surrounding the charred remains of the device. Interesting. That's definitely going in the report, Bike notes. Further testing needs to be delayed. A civilian thinks she's sneaking up on me. GA3 notes without even bothering to look at the bird-like woman who just landed on the roof behind him. Try to be gentle. These people have been through a lot. Hey, it's me, J3 says. That's what I'm afraid of. Bike replies, and J3 scoffs as the connection is put on subtle. He tucks the communicator away, and as the talons of the harpy-like figure that is a Valrin stalks up on him, he sighs. You'll need to cushion those claws if you want to be sneaky, ma'am. He notes casually before turning around to find himself eyed to bright blue hairstyle with a woman who apparently decided that gravity should be defied on general principles. Either that or she's had a very interesting day after putting product in her hair. I thought that was a weird hat. What? This? It is! The Valrin protests, reaching up with her wings and unlatching the chin strap before pulling off the absurd wave-shaped headpiece. She has much more sensible short brown hair under it, although why she was wearing it and why she's so eager to put the bizarre hat back on immediately after is a mystery. Okay then. Still, why are we having this conversation, ma'am? J3 asks, and she looks at him dead in the eye, rising up on her taloned feet to examine his eyes exactly. Your will is unbroken? She asks, and he raises an eyebrow. The woman walks around him, examining every part of his equipment and nearly snatches the gun, but a glare from J3 stops that. She does, however, spot the blackened patches in the distant field and uses Axiom in front of her eyes to magnify her vision. You've been trying to set her off, haven't you? Who are you? J3 asks her, and she looks offended. Who am I? Who are you? What are you doing here? Are you trying to get killed? She demands. I'm trying to get someone killed. J3 answers, and she seems taken aback. Are you a mercenary? She asks. I don't know what will set off the field, so I'm not going to answer that. But that should be answer enough, he says, and she looks at him oddly before nodding. Did you know that a tri-tight foil layer next to the head can delay a zippy zap? She asks suddenly. J3's eyebrows go up in surprise. Apparently the strange wig hat had a purpose. You're rocking more than foil. Capacitors, very powerful ones. Hard on the neck, looks stupid and it can save your life, she says. I know some very good listeners if you want to talk. J3 offers. We're all being listened to. I prefer to watch, she says. We can read too. So can she, the Valrin replies. A friend of mine learned that the hard way. Right as I confirm your identity, Bike says over the communicator, and J3 pulls it out to hear better. If he's sending it via audio and not text, then he wants it heard now and heard by her as well. J3 meet Charlie Layer. She used to be employed by our crisped employer. Crisped employer? Charlie asks, looking confused. The call was sent. It's been received, but we're being very careful with names. J3 tells her, and she looks up at him as she mouths a name. Edith Plumage. As J3 nods, she puts her wing hands over her mouth and her eyes water. She was my adopted cousin. She was always too brave, Charlie says, and J3 puts a hand on her shoulder. We heard the call. We sent it onwards too. Even if we fail and fall, others will come. Help has come and more will follow, he says, and she stares at him before her eyes dry and she's suddenly furious with him. Where the hell were you? She demands, slamming her wings into his chest. The woman's maybe 100 pounds soaking wet and wasn't channeling Axiom. He barely feels it. Where were you last year? Last year? Last year I was helping put together the first interstellar ship my species ever made. Last year, I was terrified I would be dropped from one of the most difficult and prestigious organizations my species ever put together. Last year, I had never even heard of Axiom or Valrin or Tritite or Adepts. I'm sorry it took so long to get here, but we just showed up on the galactic scene and there's just not enough Undaunted to go around to everyone that needs it. Undaunted? Is that some new kind of threat? Almost. What you need to remember is that help is here now. We're taking this slow and careful to make sure we minimize death and maximize results. Talking to us will help. It will help you deal with the trauma you've gone through and help us in dealing with her. J3 promises, and she stares up at him for a moment before nodding. The movement makes the stupid hat shift a bit, and she has to adjust it. He chooses not to comment. Hey, bring her over here. The test can continue later. Bike tells him, and J3 nods. Where? We have a base of operations. We're also building a chamber where we can speak openly. How? She demands. Try tight walls, multiple disruption totems. Only way in is through a huge amount of disruption fields that you're forced to stay in for 10 minutes, he says, and she blinks before frowning. How did you get that much tritite? She demands. She's angry again. J3 isn't even going to try to guess why. Not only is she an alien woman, but she's been in a high-stress situation for God knows how long. It could be anything that set her off. What are you kidding? It's one of the most common metals in the galaxy. Not to mention it's used in so many day-to-day items you can strip literal tons of the stuff out of the average junkyard. J3 protests. Hell, most of their current supply was out of Octaron Spin's scrapyards. They even got a bargain as the stupid women in charge tried to intimidate them by drawing weapons only to find themselves facing utter maniacs with not only more guns but far more eager to use them. She just gives him a look that's half incredulous, half dirty, and there's a few other things in there. She draws herself up to try and snap something at him before exhaling and just letting it go. Where? She asks, and he smiles before he breaks down his weapon and stores away the components. He stops the recording on the camera and tucks it away as well. Follow me. He invites her before leading her to the side of the building and jumps down to the fire escape. Don't you have a vehicle? Charlie asks him as she descends from above. No, we're not sure how much our opponent can track. If I use one, then she might be able to follow me more easily. If she has that ability, she's not been seen using it. Wait till we're at the warehouse, please. We want to know everything, and we'll be taking a lot of notes to make sure we get it all. J3 says before calmly walking down several blocks with Charlie right behind. I can't believe that my friend managed to get some help. How many of you are there? Charlie asks. Right now, 6 of us are on planet, the rest in orbit. You have a ship? Yes, if all else fails, we can bombard wherever we find her from orbit. No, you can't. It's been tried. It did not end well, Charlie says, and J3 turns to look right at her. Really? Well, damn, we really need to have that conversation now, miss.